Hello and welcome. Today I want to talk about this Tao Tao 110. I bought this for my son last year, and if you know anything about these things, these are built in China and they're typically real pieces of crap. So when I got this, it ran terrible, like most of these do. And what I've since learned is that if you have one that runs, but not well, it's typically the carburetor. That's right here. And the easiest, fastest thing to do is just replace it. You can take it out, try to clean it, fiddle with it, put it back in, hope it works. But the kit that replaces everything here costs $18. And I put a link to it down below. So for 18 bucks, you get the carburetor, the air filter, the fuel filter, a couple hoses, and all the clamps that it requires. And for 18 bucks and about 20 minutes, you can just replace it all, and this thing will run like a champ again. So that's what I recommend. And if you've never done anything with a carburetor before, don't let this scare you. This is very simple and anybody can do it. So here's the carburetor that you'll be taking out. It's only held in by 2 bolts that are up here in the front. Those are 10 millimeter bolts. So you just take those out. And the only other things holding it in will be a gas line that goes in here. That'll just pull off, but before you pull it off, make sure you've turned off your fuel valve, otherwise you're going to have gas coming out. And then there's a throttle cable that goes into the top. The throttle cable looks like a brake cable on a bicycle, and it just goes right through a boot that's on the top of here. And then there's a spring, and then there's a little piece that looks like a cylinder with a groove in the side. And that cable will go through the spring and then fit in the groove in the side of that cylinder, and then the spring kind of holds it all together. And if that doesn't make sense right now, don't worry about it, because when you unscrew yours, it's a ring on top, and you pull it out, you'll look at it and you'll understand. You'll just be like, oh, okay, that's easy. So you just want to put the new one together the same way and slide it inside your new carburetor, and you're good to go. And you just put it back on. It's, like I said, it's very easy. It's only going to take about 20 minutes to do, and this thing's going to run like a champ again. So that's my recommendation to you. I've done this twice. When I first got this, I replaced the carburetor, that same kit, and it ran like a champ all year. And then when I stored it for the winter, I forgot to turn off the fuel valve, and I think it gummed it up. Because when I pulled it out this year and started it up, it would idle great, but if I gave it any gas, it would just sputter and die. So I did the exact same thing. I bought the exact same kit, I replaced it, and now it's running like a champ again. So learn from my mistake, and when you store it, make sure you turn off your fuel valve. Now there's only one other issue that I've ran into with this, and that has to do with the battery. These batteries are really terrible. They're typically a 3 amp hour battery, and they go in a little compartment here underneath the seat. And it would be great if I could just store a huge battery in this thing, but I can't, because the cubby that it's got to fit in is small and limits it. So I found a battery that's slightly larger, only in height. It's 4 amp hour as opposed to the normal 3 amp hour, and it still fits in the cubby, and it's not too tall that you can't put the seat back on. So I think it's as big as you can go without having to modify this thing. And so far it's working out really well for me. So if you need a battery, I suggest that one, and I will put a link to that one below as well. So I hope that helped you. If you learned something, please hit the subscribe button. That would help me. Thank you very much.